Thursday, August 4th, 2016.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dispense with the minutes?
Second.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes. Okay, Mr. Pete.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot, other than just to let you know, we had our monthly progress meeting on the Bayview project, which, as far as the sewers being installed in Bayview, they're 90% done practically. They'll be wrapping up installing sewers week or two.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
How did they, I haven't been back there to look. How does it look back there? Rough.
Yeah, actually, they brought up a good idea, which I think we all agreed to, which as far as finishing and paving the roads. Now, what it had been bid was that essentially for each one of those streets, what they were gonna do is patch the trench lines, with the asphalt,
Yep.
and then come in and, do the.
Overlay it?
And overlay it. What they said is because most of the roads are so bad, there's really very little asphalt in. If they just went 3 inches above, you'd have all these bumps at everybody's driveways and everything. So what they're saying is, if they, now, there's a couple main roads, Grand Pass, and I'm not sure of the
Sunset.
street. It might be Sunset. They said that there's still really good asphalt on those roads. So they're good.
Sunset's pretty good
So they're gonna do that, the trench patch there. But the rest of them they're not gonna do. They said that's about a $375,000 deduct.
Oh, that's good.
But what they're gonna do is it's gonna cost about 150 to just go back and, take out the rest of the asphalt or whatever's left on these other roads, which isn't very much, and just get it all nice and smoothed out, take it down a little bit, and then this fall, do a 2-inch base coat on all the streets. And then back in the spring, come in and do that last inch, because the specs is a 3-inch asphalt coat.
Yeah, those
So they
streets
said it
over
would
there.
work out, so, we're looking at probably, in excess of $200,000 deduct that way.
Wow.
That's good. How about the force main going into town?
That's going along really well. Had some problems getting things coordinated and cooperation-wise with the city of Sandusky.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the problem?
They had asked them to do some cleaning of some of the sewers so they could do some televising, and they wouldn't come out and do it, so we had to do it. They couldn't get their cameras down through it because of so much junk in the sewers.
Really?
Yeah. So that's right there. Just want to also note, as far as the sports park complex, how that's going. I got their most recent pay application. According to that, about 70% billed, if you will.
Really?
Yeah. I haven't driven by there in a while, but since it's right across the road from me, I can hear it every morning. I know they were asphalt in the last couple of days, so it must means the parking lots or something. But that's moving along. Essentially, we've drawn down about 13 out of the 19 million. So they must be really moving along really
Maybe
well.
we ought to get a look over there before. it gets-
Yeah, I reminded Mr. Storm at that symposium on sports tourism to come back with us and reschedule that tour. So
Okay.
that's all I've got.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute for that.
Resolutions?
Yeah, Pat, you wanna do our resolutions? 'Cause we got a ton of them.
Some of them I think you gotta wait.
I think
Like
Carolyn's
Barb
got them
says.
in order.
Resolution of County Commissioners, authorize the county auditor to make a budget modification and supplemental appropriation.
Second.
Mr. Shinnebaum?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yep.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Announcements. Resolution of Board of County Commissioners for purpose of entering an agreement with Butchko Electric.
Second.
Mr. Shenango?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution of the Board of County Commissioners authorizing county auditor to make budget modifications, supplemental appropriation.
Second.
Mr. Shenango?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution of the Board of County Commissioners for the purpose of entering an agreement with CareWorks.
Second.
Mr. Shenango?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution, Board of County Commissioners of Erie County for purpose of entering an agreement with Blue Technologies.
Second.
Mr. Shenango?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution Board authorizing county auditor to make budget modifications and supplemental appropriations.
Second.
Mr. Shenango?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution entering into agreement with Dan Frederick Architects.
Second.
Mr. Shenango?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Resolution, Board of County Commissioners authorizing the county auditor to make budget modification and supplemental appropriation.
Second.
Mr. Shenango?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution Board declaring certain items surplus in order to be sold by internet auction.
Second.
Mr. Shenango?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Resolution entering into an agreement with Oglesby Construction.
Mr. Shenango?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
I should have two for
There's
the
two
DD
there for
levies.
Carrie, the first two, I think.
Set 'em
was there.
aside.
Well, it's, but we gotta redo their,
Jack Farshman, Bart Sessler. Oh, replacement? Do those.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Resolution of the Board of County Commissioners declaring that the amount of taxes which should be raised within the 10 mil limitation by levies on the current tax duplicate will be insufficient to provide an adequate amount for the necessary requirements of Erie County, Ohio for the Erie County Board of Developmental Disabilities, AKA Mental Retardation and Development Disabilities, MRDD, declaring it is necessary to levy a tax in excess of said 10 mil limitation for the purpose herein set forth and providing for the submission of such replacement tax levy to the electors of Erie County at the general election to be held on November 8, 2016.
Second.
Mr. Shenango?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
yes.
Resolution of the Board of County Commissioners declaring that the amount of taxes which may be raised within the 10 mil limitation by levies on the current tax duplicate will be insufficient to provide an adequate amount for the necessary requirements of Erie County, Ohio for the Erie County Board of Developmental Disabilities, AKA Mental Retardation and Development Disabilities, MRDD, declaring that it is necessary to levy a tax in excess of said 10 mil limitation for the purpose hereinafter set forth and providing for the submission of such additional tax levy to the electors of Erie County at the general election to be held on November 8th.
Second.
Mr. Shenango?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes. Pete, when's Jack getting that north side parking lot paved over there?
Don't know.
It looks like sand.
Understand that. Basically, they've been piecemealing pieces and parts of it. Right now, they're waiting for I was told for the drainage pipe to come in. I just saw a truck pull in, so hopefully they'll get started on that pretty soon.
They're bigger.
Okay. I mean, how long's it been ground down like that?
Couple weeks. And that was an all-day, I mean, those guys didn't leave till almost 8:30 at night.
I know, but when your own employees are complaining about driving to get out that way. Okay. Gary, you wanna give us a quick prelim on this Berlin Road project, since I know you've had your hands full before Jack gets in here?
Yeah, not too bad. We had gotten a request to vacate a portion of Berlin Road, which was abandoned about 1972. Interesting what they did, they put a curb in the road, they took a straight road and made a curb. And Tom Sprunk, the attorney, had requested, I had talked to Tom, and he had requested the board to vacate it. And in doing it, it became a teeny bit more complicated, but normally when you vacate a road, the road is divided right down the middle, and each property owner gets half. Kind of a simple thing, that's what I thought we started out with. What had happened is after the road was gonna be relocated, the county appropriated property, and it appropriated property outside the right-of-way, so what would have happened is, had we vacated the road, what would have happened is, the county would have gotten half the road, and the Brundages would have got the other half. You know, so we would have had a little triangle of county property just sitting out there. So the next step would have been, we would have put up that little small triangle for public sale. And rather than vacating the road and then selling the tiny triangle, you can just sell everything and be done with it in one shot. And part of the reason is that Carol and I took a view of it. Mr. and Mrs. Brundage, when you go out and look at it, it looks like a front lawn as far as anybody says. There's a flagpole sitting there, there's a front lawn. So, and Jack and I, we made the recommendation that we just sell everything rather than do a vacation and then a sale. The most important thing, and I had talked to Mr. Brundage about it, is that that little triangle is not big enough to have a building lot. So I asked him, number one, do you have any enemies in the neighborhood? Don't have any enemies in the neighborhood.
It's all family.
No, it's all family, and apparently they like each other. Not always the case, but they like each other.
Smith's own up most of that whole
Yeah,
area.
and he
anyway.
married a Smith.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, and the only danger would be if somebody would just buy it just to spite the guy. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think what's gonna happen is, if the board passes a resolution to sell this, I think it's about a .9 acre, whatever
I
it
think
is.
it's about a half.
About a half an acre. We have to advertise 4 times. I think it'll be to accept a sealed bid. I presume that Mr. Brundage, and we're gonna contact his attorney, will put in a bid. And
Mr. Brundage is here,
Oh.
in case you didn't see me.
Oh, okay. There you are.
I was going to send you a letter, but now.
Yeah, now you don't have, well, you do, you have to look at the newspaper. And the only question that we have is how much to put it up for. I think, the only thing I told Carolyn, that it's up to the board, you know, you can make it $1 million if you wanna. The only thing I think.
That sounds good.
Well,
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
I expect it like that. By the way, Pat, there is no oil on this land that we know of, so we're okay. But anyway, from my perspective, and when you're, and I don't want to be mammy-pammy about it, but when you read the law, the Board of County Commissioners hold the property in trust for the public. So you're holding public property in trust for the public. And what I told Carolyn is, when you put it up for bid, you ought to at least get the cost of advertising.
So we
Yeah.
set the
Right.
minimum bid at 400. That'll cover the 4 times I have to advertise
Right, so.
comfortably.
So the good news is, presumably, and remember this, the public has a right to bid on this, but if everything goes according to plan, Mr. Bundy's, bids a minimum, or, gets the property, if you wanna throw in a couple 200, we appreciate it. You don't have to, but that's your call, that's your private call. That little triangle then goes back on the tax duplicate, and the county has no use for the property.
Okay.
My spiel, Jack, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, Jack, we were just having Gary give us a little prelim of what all's been entailed, so it's Berlin Road, it's in your bailiwick, so what's your
I'll just
recommendation?
share this, I think the picture tells you a
Okay.
lot, real quick. This is the 50-foot strip going south that was vacated. Berlin Road was vacated up to that point. This green strip going south, back in 73 or something like that. This little triangle here, I don't know why.
It's right here, you're talking this. Right here.
This part here that's crosshatched is the area we're talking about. We're gonna have with this change, we'll still maintain, we'll have a 50-foot
Is this
from,
their parcel right
continuous
now?
following the curve around here
Or
on
is-
Berlin Road.
Whose is that?
These are
Somebody else.
existing drainage on Berlin Road.
Oh.
Crosses, goes to the other side. There's only one thing. When Old Berlin Road was vacated years ago, it had this storm drainage line that ran parallel with it. Well, it automatically got vacated. There was never anything put in that vacation to maintain the easement or anything. It's gone. But there remains within this property about 260 lineal feet of 6-inch clay tile, with a catch basin. And
Catch
it
basin,
serves no purpose to the county.
does the catch basin operate or no?
Well, I really,
It works? Where does it go to?
it goes south.
It still follows Old Berlin
Follows
Road,
Old
it goes
Berlin
down
Road
into
south.
Old Winter Street.
I
So-
don't know of any drainage problems with it.
It's not draining our road though, it's just draining yours.
That's draining the fields, there's
Yeah.
2 separate fields there.
So we don't need it.
No.
We're not gonna end up with
No.
another Hays Ave thing, okay, all right.
Did they file you got it tiled, that field there?
We have the north field on Berlin Road, the southern field that it drains is Rockwell's.
Oh, okay.
This would be, that'd be Southern Field.
Are you related to them too? Rockwell?
The Rockwell's, no.
No, that's separate.
No, I married into the Smiths. To Ivan and Eleanor's granddaughter, the original property owners.
Well, we've got plenty of room
Yeah, I
for
don't
our
have a problem
drainage
with
and
it.
Oh,
everything.
no problem. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
we're
well
good.
within our right of way. This is the red line. That's
Yeah.
the approximate right of way line, the
This
new
is,
one.
this is like that triangle over there off of Bardshar, up there by the Route 2, remember that corner we had to vacate years ago? Yeah,
That might have been before.
It
And
might have
this
been
goes
before
right-
your time.
Right down here is the underpass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Barrels Road comes across here and then the
Yeah.
underpass.
So that's Denise Smith's house right here.
That's, no, Denise's.
Denise is right over there. I don't have any problem with it.
okay. You have any questions?
I will send you a letter, just so you make sure.
Gary, you have anything more you'd like to add?
Not really, it's pretty well, one thing that popped in my mind, and Jack had already covered it, is when you vacate a road, you know, whatever road it might be, any utility, public utility maintains their easement in it. When you sell it, that's not true, so Jack's covered our issue with the tile, so we're all set, as far as I can tell.
Well, that tile being that old's never had any work, probably not much good
Helps.
anyway.
Farmfield tile is best of anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Pat, is there a resolution there?
There is, authorizing me to put it up for sale.
Resolution of the board, purpose of determining that described real estate is not needed for public use, determine to sell said real estate in terms and conditions herein set forth, not authorizing directing the clerk of this board to advertise for bids, sale of said real estate.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes. Hey Barb, we can bump you ahead 10 minutes if you want, because I know yours is just on your fund before we have an investment board meeting at 10, so.
That's up to you.
Yeah.
You wanna go ahead?
Yep, sure.
Jack, that's it.
Well, as I stated, I'm here to see about having my 5-year equipment fund renewed, which, of course, by statute has to be done. I'm currently receiving $7 per document, and I'm requesting the same to continue with my software support, purchase of equipment. I'm also, purchasing, getting additional older documents imaged to put in them into our system. So it's basically,
That's it?
that's it.
Okay.
Do you have any
Pat?
questions?
No.
No?
We got a resolution too.
Resolution at continuing the reallocation of additional recorder fee to a special revenue fund for the equipment needs of the county recorder.
Second.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
See you at the fair, Barb.
Yep, oh, yes, oh, yes.
I think I might see a Barb come on, just a little bit.
See if you guys are. We're ahead of schedule.
Need a motion to recess?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Shenigo? Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
All right, well, good morning, thank you, again, for the opportunity to come out here,
Nice having you.
another quarter, and share with you a little more of, as far as what is going on in our investment world and how that is impacting the county's investment activity. Starting out with, of course, page 3, we have, this looks very familiar, continuation of our theme, low interest rates for longer. Basically, this is, of course, a result of, number one, Fed policy, and the makeup of the Fed being very cautious in wanting to move forward with returning interest rates to a more normal level. And part of the reason, or main reasons for them being cautious is, of course, the global uncertainty that we are experiencing. And most recently, of course, the surprise vote for the UK to leave the European Union. The market does not like it when they are surprised or when they're wrong, and as a result, what we see are very strong flows of global dollars into our U.S. markets, and then that serves to temporarily temper interest rates. We have a couple new slides in here, or pages in here, which do address that. But as we look at, of course, well, our next page is our first new page, actually, page 4. What we have done here is we have dissected an ETF which is representative of the global bond market of basically the G7 nations. So this would be Germany, Italy, France, Japan, the U.S., and Canada. And when we look at the yields that the global bonds are offering to global investors, we find that 34% of those bonds are out there with negative yields, meaning that if someone invests $1 million upon maturity, they do receive back less than that. So this is certainly, excuse me, something relatively new when we think back historically over interest rate cycles, but it certainly is a big force with having basically a third of the global bond market offering negative yields to investors. We compare that, of course, to our U.S. markets where our interest rates continue to be positive, and we expect they will remain so. Furthermore, we see that 75% of the global bonds are offering a yield lower than even our 5-year Treasury, and 88% below our 10-year U.S. Treasury yield. This morning, the U.S. Treasury for 10 years was yielding 1.54, and we can compare that to the 10-year German bonds at negative 0.04 and the Japanese bonds at negative 0.09% for 10 years. For 10 years.
No wonder why we're getting flooded.
Exactly.
By our bonds, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you hate to say it, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that if you have to have your money in the bond market and you want to have it in a safe place, if your alternative is a negative yield in the traditional safe havens versus the positive yield in the safe haven of the U.S. Treasury, you will move your monies into the U.S. Treasury securities, to say the least. If we flip over to page 5, this is another new page here that we think tells a good story as far as the market reaction, particularly to the Brexit vote. We looked at the Fed funds futures markets, the probability of, at each of the Fed meetings, of the Fed increasing interest rates or potentially even decreasing interest rates. And as I said, the Brexit vote was unexpected from the standpoint of the vote to exit the European Union. And anytime we have, of course, this uncertainty, we have some panic that sets into the market. So as we can see, after the Brexit vote, there was, within the Fed funds futures market, small probability that the Fed's next move would be a rate cut. We, of course, certainly felt that that was a little extreme. Needless to say, at that point, too, the probability of the Fed's next move being a rate hike was pretty much off the table when we look at the Fed funds futures market. Fast forward 3 weeks later, July 20th, start to receive a little more clarity as it relates to the Brexit process, we would say, and I think a little more acknowledgement that the, number one, fundamentally, the U.S. economy is not too much different than what it has been, and that while there is this global uncertainty, it will not spell the, basically a sky is falling outlook for the U.S. economy. So when we look at the probability of a Fed rate hike now, we can see that we've returned back to what we would call more normal, which is that about a 50-50 chance that the Fed will increase the short-term interest rates in the first quarter of 2017. Now, we all hear in the media that the Fed officials do come out and prime the market to anticipate that perhaps we may have another 1 or 2 Fed rate hikes yet this year. We think that is rather premature, particularly from the standpoint of, as we said, the overhang of the global uncertainty. But returning back to fundamentally what's going on in the U.S., we look at the GDP growth. Second quarter GDP growth came in at 1.2%. Expectations were about double that. So needless to say, again, this was another disappointment for the market. However, that is the first read. We'll continue to get some revisions to those numbers. But I think when we look at the overall trend coming out of the Great Recession, we've had this continuation of positive economic growth, albeit at a slower rate since going on now 7 years. Trend growth now is in the 2% range, which is down from the 3% range historically. And the drop in the trend growth rate is a function of technology advances, globalization, and of course the demographic change in the U.S. As a matter of fact, there's an article this morning in the Wall Street Journal addressing the changing demographics of the U.S. population, i.e. the aging of the U.S. population and the implications for that on future growth. We look at inflation. Inflation is out of the danger zone. Fed target 2%. Inflation is measured by the PCE measure, has been pretty stable at 1.6%. Oil was a big story pretty much over the past year. That has kind of settled down as we've seen oil kind of settle in that $40 to $50 per barrel. Again, there's a lot of dynamics that impact that. Moving on to employment, still have the good news, bad news story. Unemployment rate is indicative of what some would view as full employment, but yet the participation rate remains a concern. We also look at job growth. Over the first quarter of 2016, job growth averaged 200,000 jobs per month. That slipped to the second quarter of 2016. Did I say 14? I meant 16. 2016 job growth was just under 150,000 jobs per month. Certainly, that is a little concerning, but needless to say, we cannot continue to have stellar job growth each and every quarter, so long as the job growth remains above 100,000 jobs per month on average, should be sufficient to cover the population growth. Unemployment by county, again, certainly indicative of the diverse state of Ohio, which I think is indicative of the diversity of the U.S. Erie County here, this is as of May, 4.8%, a little higher than the national average at that time, a little higher than the state average. And as we know, you have a very big seasonal factor here as well that will show up in positively in future months, in the summer months. But what has all of this done to interest rates? We look at page 10, comparing the U.S. Treasury yield curve. For the gold line is as of 2015, July end of the month July of 2015, to the blue line, end of July 2016, we can see that the shorter-term interest rates had moved up. That's a direct result of the Fed having made that first rate move in December of 2015. Longer-term rates, though, have fallen. And again, this is the impact of those global flows that we talked about with the negative rates abroad, in addition to the uncertainty, particularly with the Brexit vote. So needless to say, we believe that the yield curve is a little distorted by these global flows, to say the least. Unfortunately, that may take some time to reverse itself. Moving on to the portfolio review for the county, and we compare year over year. Now, our target for the county is to have invested $47.5 million. Currently, or as at the end of July, we had just under $40 million invested. That is because we did have some bonds that were called in maturity, so we have some funds sitting in the wings, positioning them for the right opportunities for reinvestment. But overall, the portfolio is still yielding 1.27%, which is still an improvement over where we were last year. And the allocation of the portfolio at this time, we're at about 40% in the FDIC-insured CDs, a little over 50% in government agency securities, and our other is comprised of municipal securities and a small corporate bond as well. We flip to the last few pages, 13 through 15. That is the portfolio report, which shows all of the individual holdings of the county as well. So that being said, just to kind of wrap it up, again, we are looking to move back to that target as far as having invested $47.5 million. But we are exercising patience in getting those additional funds invested based on the market reaction from the Brexit move. But as we can see, we've had some improvement from where we were at the end of June, but we're just still not quite where we want to pull the trigger on some investments at this time.
So how do you see with this Brexit, how do you see LIBOR affected, comparing it to U.S. Treasuries? What happened? Did LIBOR go down? LIBOR went up? I didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it either, unfortunately, I must say. LIBOR is a little complicated thing in view of course, the some of the rigging of the LIBOR rates that took place some time ago. So certainly, while now we believe, of course, that LIBOR is being honestly established at this stage, one would expect that LIBOR would go up just by virtue of the fact that, with the Brexit, there is the big uncertainty as far as how London's position as the financial center for the European Union.
Right, because there's talk it's done.
It's done, right.
Where's it going?
Right. And, when we look at the whole Brexit process, the initial uncertainty was, of course, the vote went the opposite way. This next uncertainty was the Prime Minister resigned because he wasn't supportive of Great Britain leaving. He was supportive of Great Britain staying. So relatively quickly, they did get a new Prime Minister in. But in order for the Brexit process to actually start, they have to invoke this Article 50 under the treaty, and the new Prime Minister is stating that they will invoke that in the first part of 2017. Once they invoke that, that opens up a 2-year window for the actual exit to take place. So during this 2-year window, right, we will see more come out as far as how the trade agreements will be renegotiated. Certainly don't believe that the world is going to stop trading with Great Britain just because they're not part of the European Union. And then, of course, we'll also see, right, what will happen with the financial center for the EU. If it can't be in London, right, it's going to have to be someplace else.
I don't know what's 30-day LIBOR at right now, do you know?
I don't know.
You have your phone out there. have mine turned off.
Doesn't really impact Erie County yet, so.
What are the best local rates you have going right now?
First Fed,
Yeah,
next door,
yeah.
bank right next
The
door to
local
us.
banks, what,
Just First Fed is the only one I have CDs with.
Yeah, and they're the only ones that have been aggressive, I would say. This is all relatively speaking, of course. And at this stage, the banks have limitations as far as how much funds they can take from any one public entity. And so we're at that limit with First Fed.
I've actually closed 5 accounts in the last year with other banks in our area, just basically because their rate is horrible.
Yeah, the regulatory environment for banks has created a situation whereby they're somewhat penalized for having public deposits. And a lot of that has to do with the fact, with the collateral issue and the like. And granted, this level of regulatory penalties, it's my understanding, kind of kicks in big time once a bank reaches like the $10 billion mark or larger. So we've seen some bifurcation between community banks versus the large banks. And of course, First Federal would be more of a community bank versus someone like a PNC or a Key would be a large, right, would be a large bank that basically, many of those banks have come out and very publicly have stated they do not want public deposits.
Yeah.
Right.
Lorraine National, I got the letter from them, they didn't want us.
Right.
I was forced to close the account. The other 4 I did on my own, but
Right.
they didn't want our business anymore.
They'd be more than happy to take the operating accounts and those services with that fee income that's associated with it, but the actual deposits, yeah, they just are not interested in that because of the regulatory environment, and then additionally, the margins have compressed so much insofar as what they can then turn around and reinvest those monies in. Whether, they're not going gangbusters loaning money out either, and generally, that would be where the biggest margin would be realized for them.
And I had $5 million in the bank account with them, and they didn't want our money.
It's a
Their
new
business.
world we're in.
Okay, we need a motion to go back in regular session.
Mr.
Thank you.
Shenango, Mr. Monahan,
Yeah.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes, thank you, ladies. Barb, we're gonna get you started early. We appreciate you coming early.
We are ridiculously busy.
With all this heat, you probably are.
I know, we're gonna pick up 2 dogs
Pick
this
up your
morning.
mail?
Huh?
Pick up your mail while you're up here.
Pick up my mail, yeah, I did that.
Your mailbox is full up here.
I know. Everybody goes, why don't you pick up your paychecks? I said, they deposit them.
Yeah.
You know what it is. Just more paper. Been busy for the last, for my last report. Handled 178 dogs. We don't do animal claims anymore because they did away with that law after like 100 years. Complaints 105, humane complaints 32. We're doing a lot in the city, but as I said before, it's kind of a trade-off with the city. They help me at night with overtime and stuff and pick up dogs and have a key to our place, and they do a lot of the running at night where we would get called out. So in turn, they do the humane complaint, but they are the humane officers, but then they don't know what they're doing. Not totally know what they're doing, but they don't want to do it. They don't have the avenues I have to help the animals. So we pretty much go on a lot of those. We've been removing a lot of animals from houses in the city. It's just, I could show pictures and you guys would go, really? People live like this? It's just bad.
I've been in a lot of them, you have to tell me.
It's bad, and we're getting these animals, I mean, you can't even see their faces, they have no toes because they're so bald with mats, skin issues,
You're scarred with urine.
yeah, it's ridiculous, and I hate to say it, but Sandusky Municipal, when I take a humane case there, they side with the people, they don't have income in this. I'm sorry, they've done this to this animal, it's not fair, but we take it, we have donation fund, medical fund set up for that, so we fix the animal up, place it in a new home. But the problem is it doesn't stop those people from getting another dog, but
And doing the same thing all over again.
they do it again and again. We
There's
get
no
a
way
few
to
repeats.
Stop them from getting it?
There is if I went to court, but now you're talking 6 months probably on a humane case. And if it gets that far,
And it gets tossed,
pardon?
and it gets tossed.
Yeah. All our dog running, everything is waived. And we just make people come in and buy their license and, you know, we get the penalty from that, but I don't know. I've talked to them 100 times, but they have their own agenda. They get their $70 and I get nothing, so. But what do you say?
Can't you take them out to county court?
I wish.
Can't, just
No, it's
because
city
it's there,
municipal,
it's in
yeah.
the municipality.
Right. Perkins Township is, pretty much everything goes to municipal. Yeah, I have no problems with Vermillion or county court. They're $150 fine, people. I don't have that many problems in those areas. We're only down 14 tags from last year right now, which is good, so we should top our tag sales. We should be way up on tag penalty money. We did a program, and actually we're doing it with Sneska Municipal. One of the girls, Karen, down at the thing, is taking our people that we've sent notices to and still won't buy their tags. They've gone to court, and they still won't come out and buy their tags. They've paid the court fine, but they won't buy their dog license. So we're writing second tickets. She's calling them from the court and telling them, I'm gonna file this and you're gonna get picked up on a warrant if you don't, you know, come in for your tags. Which is, they can't. They have to buy their tag, but they would be picked up for not having a license. They'd be summoned to court instead of just our notice that we sent them. So a lot of people, we just sent out 15 and we got like 10 back that people came in and bought their tags. So every penalty, I mean, it's $40 a dog license right now. So we're picking up a few dollars there. It's just not fair. It's the same people every year. They just don't think they have to buy tags. Still doing the video, the radio I did again this morning, and the newspaper. We did our shoe drive again, which we thought we'd have a really hard time, but we well exceeded our 100 bags. We ended up with 4,200 pairs of shoes.
What do they do with those shoes?
They are sent to third world countries, the ones that can be fixed, and the ones that are bad, they grind them up and use them for other materials, and then they pay us 40 cents a pound for doing it. So our whole garage was full.
That's
It's all
good they
cleared
send
out.
them over there to the kids.
Pardon?
That's good they send them to
Yes.
the kids in the
Yep.
third world cup.
Yeah, we just looked, Michigan did it, or a dog shelter in Michigan, and they made like $5,000. We should make probably at least $3,500 on this batch. So we told people we need boots because those are the heavy ones. So we have to bag them in 25-pound or 25 pair per bag. We have volunteers. The kids from the detention home came out. Shelley and Andrea did a lot right after work. They bagged quite a bit. So we should be getting a check here shortly. Attended the Farm Bureau meeting, which I didn't see any of you guys there. It was early this year. It was kind of poorly attended. There wasn't a whole lot of people.
There was something else going on that morning.
Was there?
Yeah.
There had to been, because usually when do you guys show up, so.
How many people did they have?
They had like 15 maybe, 16 people. 'Cause there was only 2 small round tables
I
this
forget
time.
what was happening. but
Usually we
it
have that
was-
whole big area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where was it at this year?
Same place last year, behind Thirsty Pony there. What is that, Quality Inn?
Thirsty Pony.
Yeah. But isn't that a,
Rainforest.
yeah, whatever. There's a hotel there. Anyway, spoke there in the morning. Ability Works comes out. It's a group of kids that really need to know what's going on, like in the world, and we have people that bring them out and try to show them what county government does and what we do as our livelihood. They've been coming out once a month. Got some free food from Hancock County. It's kind of a drive, but if you know the price of dog food, it's pretty expensive, and this is IAMS. The IAMS company gives it to them, and then he distributes to dog pounds that are willing to drive for it. So we got 16 bags of free dog food, and we've done this 2 times now. That helps out. We don't have to pay for anything. Did the summer conference at Kelly's. I know everybody thought it was my idea, but last year was my idea, and everybody liked it so well. Our speakers come from, it's the National Animal Control Association. It's training, and we all get credit for the training. And I, you know, people say, well, you go to a lot of training, you're allowed to go to these conferences and meetings and stuff, but I've been subpoenaed into court so many times this year, I can wallpaper my office with subpoenas. And the questions, once it finally goes to trial, is what experience do you have? And you have to have it. And I'm pushing my people to do more and more certifications and stuff. So I got a couple training programs coming up for Humane. I know I do the Humane officer, but I'm not going to be around forever. So there's a continuing education. It's free. It's on a Saturday in Columbus. So I'm going to take Andrea with me to that. They help so much with the Humane calls. They pretty much know what they're doing, but I'm the certified officer, and they really need to get some background on that. The second page is just the legislation stuff that's going on. It's kind of hard to read. This was from our summer conference.
Stepped on it.
I know. I said, what is that spot on there?
Looks
Apparently,
like it was in your seat and the passenger side.
that could have been the
And
dog.
stepped
Yeah,
on it.
sat on.
Yeah.
I don't want to say what that really is. He really sat on it. So.
Dog.
Companion animal, the House Bill 60, that did get passed, was signed by the governor, and that will go in effect in 90 days. And that pushes a lot if,
Allowed to take those into stores now, those companion animals?
yes. Yeah. And it's pretty much, they have to have certification. They have to have training for this animal. They have to have paperwork. It's not a doctor slip. And I get people come in all year long with doctor slips and everything. And I feel bad for these people because I'm sure the dog does help them, but until it's certified, a real trained dog, it does not get my free dog license. It just, I'm sorry. But this part of this was where if, like a horse, like in Cleveland, they use horses for police work and all the guys that have the dogs and stuff. If one of the animals that are in police work get killed, it's mandatory jail time if they're shot or killed while on duty. The tethered animal bill, I don't believe, Brian from CCO said it's just not going to go anywhere. Lorraine apparently is enforcing it. They made a city ordinance, and it's all dogs are not allowed to be tethered. They have to be in your house or in some sort of fenced yard, but they cannot be tied out for hours and hours, and that's all a dog barking thing. And a lot of it, you know, yeah, you tie your dog under a tree in the morning, but by afternoon it's out in this hot 90-degree weather, and then we get called. So Lorraine's doing it. I don't know how it's gone. They just started it this last couple months, so I'm going to check with them and see if they, you know, the city could do the same thing. It would just be a mess enforcing it all the time. I don't know whether it'll go anywhere or not. Good intentions, but Humane Society Attorney Authority. I know what they wanted to do there. Right now, it's like the Humane Society could hire a lawyer, and then the county would have to pay for it for my cases. I use all the prosecutor, and I always have. I just think it's the smart thing to do, and they want to make it mandatory that they use the prosecutor because the county supplies it, and if the county's paying my salary as humane officer, they should be paying, or they should be doing the work, which they do. Why hire an outside attorney and have to pay all that money from the county, which I could do? I think in a specialty case or something, you might have to bring professional witnesses in or something like that, we would pay for, but that's what they're trying to do there. I don't see that going anywhere either. Vicious dog law, and it's funny because it's Representative Beagle, which we've laughed about before. He's just trying to revise our dangerous and vicious dog laws. That's why I'm getting all these subpoenas into court over these vicious dog. Everybody appeals my designation. I mean, it's tore people's faces. You know, they're sent to the hospital. One girl was life flighted. It punctured her lung. The dog grabbed her. You know, this is just going on and on with these pit bulls. But it can be any dog. It has to perform a bite, and then we step in. But some of the problems are if the person maybe knows the neighbor and he doesn't want to file charges. So if the person doesn't want to file charges, I can't step in and deem that dog. Then it goes out and does it again to somebody else, and then we look like idiots because we didn't do anything. But the way the law is written, I have to have a complainant. And if the person says, just tell them to keep their dog at home, I don't want to do it again, I'll pay their vet bill, they don't want to get in a neighborhood fight. So a little bit of that might change. And the dog, Senate Bill 331, dog sale, pet retailer. What's happening there is they want the Department of Agriculture to take over. Department of Agriculture kind of has taken over the kennel licensing. We have to send all our kennel license to Department of Agriculture. They're supposed to check on them, and this all stems from the Amish, the way they treat their dogs and how they're just a commodity and not a pet anymore. So anybody that raises dogs for sale, they can have a kennel license, but if you're just, they're pets and they're all neutered and you have 10 of them at home, you buy single licenses. Before, they used to get away with buying 5, and they could own up to 50 dogs. But you have to be in the business of selling. And Department of Agriculture, somehow they left them out of there, and that's all the pet stores and stuff. So they want them to oversee where those dogs are coming from and where they're going to. They really wanted to push that a license had to be on that dog before it left. But I don't think they're gonna get that one. But that's about it.
Okay, thanks for coming in,
Sorry to keep
Barb.
you so long, but I haven't seen you guys anywhere.
Been busy,
Any questions? I had a great time on my vacation, as you can tell.
yeah.
10 days in a boat really puts the tan on you. Went up to Port Huron.
Oh, that's
in
a
the
good
boat.
run.
And St. Clair, the water's crystal blue. I mean, it's like being in Florida,
kinda-
but with fresh water. It's like,
That's north of Detroit, right?
yeah,
Well, there you go.
unbelievable. We went up the Detroit River, and it's just unbelievable. I was like, why can't we have that? We're working on it, right?
Okay, thanks,
All
Barb.
righty, thank you.
Any public comment in regard to the agenda items? Okay, we need a motion to go in executive session regarding litigation.
Second.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan? Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Motion to adjourn?
Mr. Shenigo?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes. We'll see you guys at the fair, as they say.